instructors who use their students for all the demonstrations. They don't want to demonstrate anything themselves. They don't like demonstrating moves. They have all the students do it. They just stand around and look menacing and then just bark orders and have everybody else do it for them. Is that a red flag?
That's just weird.
It is weird.
I mean, it brings up another thing though, which is when they have like teenagers teaching all the classes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just a question of how much does this teenager know. It's an exploitation of their students.
Yeah.
Because I can get this teenager to teach this class for free. So paying someone to do it.
Yeah, I've seen that a bit. If your school, your sensei, your teacher has a secret deadly techniques that are very seldom seen by anyone except indoor students, like an inner circle, all right, and they're not to be spoken of, aloud, and it's very hush hush, secret deadly techniques that are taught to no one except very few students who are certain rank. What do you think of that? What do you think that says?
I don't know. There's some of that that's very sort of traditional. You get that in some kung fu styles where you have to sort of earn your rights to learn the good stuff.
The good stuff,
okay. And they'll tell you stories that people have to. In the old days, you'd have to earn your right just to get in the door to learn anything.
Sure. And that has place in history. Don't think it applies now. If you're at your local school in, I don't know, Shreveport, and you're knocking on the door, and the instructor opens the door and says, "Come back tomorrow." Or you find yourself sleeping on the porch, or standing in the rain waiting for them to let you in.
Sitting there in horse stance.
Yeah, exactly. Just
waiting.
Yeah, that time is over. I'm sorry. And then for those of you who perpetuate that type of thing where you are not worthy, buddy, I got money in my pocket. I'm worthy. I'm hiring you to teach me. This is a. We live in America, and this is a service that we're providing, and instructors would do well to remember that, okay, before you pull that type of stuff.
It depends on how much stuff is being held back like that.
Sure.
There's a justification like you're teaching people how to defend from a knife.
Okay.
Do you teach them right away how to use a knife against someone else?
All right.
You can see why you might be a little reluctant until you know a little bit about these people. Like, who am I handing this to?
Sure. Sure. And so for example, in Krav Maga, if we take students to a gun range and you're firing a weapon, yeah, of course, we do have to think about those things. If we're doing a drill where you're deploying your own weapon and you're running through a course and people are attacking you with their weapons, you're doing force on force, you're doing stuff like that, of course, a certain amount of skill is required. There's a certain amount of things that you have to learn first. I completely get that. But if what they're withholding from you is a sacred scroll that when you open it teaches you how to fight with your eyes closed, again, you have to be very careful with this type of thing, Be very wary of that. I'm not knocking people's belief systems. It's just you have to really wonder how much of that's really going to help you in the real world.
There's a reason why you don't see anybody using poison touch in the UFC.
Right. Exactly right. The magic palm or the dim mak.
If that stuff was real, the heavyweight champion would be a chubby guy with a long beard.
Right. Exactly right.
Just walked out and touched the other guy.
Here's one for you guys. Watch out for people who have inescapable contracts. I mean, if you ever have signed up for a gym and that gym didn't let you out of that contract for anything at all. I mean, everyone's had some sort of service, whether it was a subscriber service or that, and it's like signing your soul over to some chthonic deity, and then there's just no way out of it now. Then yeah, that's not great. It shouldn't be that way. That's all. Be very aware of that. Paying 5 years up front, or you agreed to become a black belt, so we're going to hold you to that commitment. You got to be careful with that, you know. Uh, I found this online. I didn't know how to take it. This one person wrote that they had an issue with your instructor talking about the reality of the street. You know, be wary of instructors who talk about, you know, too much about what's really out there, what street fighting is really like. And I took umbrage at this because what we do is meant for that. This was never made for tournament fighting. You know, this was never made for that. It was made because, let's say you're a woman, you're walking out of your place of work, and you have to walk into a parking structure, and then you're assaulted by two guys, one of them has a gun. That is the street. It's not. We have to talk about it. You know, you're a kid and you're being dragged in by three older kids being dragged into a bathroom when someone's gonna beat the tar out of you. These are things that happen every day. You know, if you're a woman in America, there are attacks on women once every 1.6 minutes, according to latest statistics. These are realities. You know, kids are being violently bullied. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. They should be talked about. We're not showing off or anything. It's just people pay us so we can address the reality of life. You know.
I think sometimes that comes from, you get people who they think they've learned this one trick that's going to let them beat anybody.
Yeah.
And they bring this up to people who've competed at a high level, and they just know that, like, look, just because somebody told you can bite or punch them in the groin doesn't mean you're going to beat a world-class fighter.
You know what? That's an excellent point. I've heard that a lot, and I think you and I've seen. I think we you're probably thinking of the same person. We see a lot of these videos where people who do a practical self-defense system, or they call whatever they do Krav Maga, and everything to them is eye gouge and smash them in the testicles. Here to tell you that that's not the solution for everything. You know, that's not the solution to everything. If you are going up against a guy who has wicked ground game, all right, he's a very good wrestler, very good BJJ guy, excellent judo guy, they're going to tap you out before you can even find their eyes. You know, you got to know you have to have different skill sets.
I think that what gets lost is dirty tricks help.
Yeah, for sure.
Dirty tricks can help you, but knowing a couple dirty tricks doesn't mean you're going to be able to fight a world-class fighter.
It's not a trump card for everything.
It's not magic.
Right.
You know, Mike Tyson is still going to punch you in the chin and knock you out.
Yeah. You know, and it's
a high-class jiu-jitsu guy is gonna tie you up and choke you out.
Right.
But and if you present it to them if you say something like that to a guy like that, they're gonna feel insulted. Like, you can beat me because you learned this one trick, but that's not what I mean. Someone who's teaching those things the right way is like, I'm just trying to give the average person an edge to survive.
Right. That's exactly right.
Not that they're gonna go out and beat professional fighters who make their living, make their whole life, combat.
Yeah, I mean, we see that a lot. Like, some people say, we had a student here, her boyfriend was hanging out with us, and we all went to watch a UFC fight somewhere, and he said, well, could you beat that guy up? He's like, you beat the guy who's at the gym 6 days a week, training 8 hours a day, who makes his living doing this?
3 a days.
Yeah, that's... No, probably not. But then again, if that person was trying to rape your girlfriend, it's a damn good thing she knows these techniques, these things, and increases her chances of survival. Because look, at the end of the day, we're all targets. You're either a hard target or a soft target. You either know exactly what to do, and it comes from training and practicing contact drills, contract drills. You feel the aches, you feel the bruises, you feel it on your body, you've been in that stressful situation before, or you don't do it at all. And you have no idea what to do, and everything you do is reaction out of fear. You can freeze, you can flail. It's better to know something rather than nothing. And at least it gives you a better chance of survival. None of these things are trump cards, but they do give you, not advantages, they give you a better chance, they increase your chance of survival. You know what I mean? We have to be realistic about these things. What we put together in Krav Maga, for example, is, look, we got to understand the ground game. We got to understand what it's like to choke and be choked and how to escape a choke and how to survive on the ground and how to move on the ground. It's not how to prevent BJJ from working. We got to embrace that. We got to embrace boxing. We got to embrace Thai boxing. We got to embrace, wrestling. We got to embrace all these skills. We got to know what someone else might know because people cross train nowadays, and we have to make it work for us. And we have to do as much of our dirty tactics and street tactics that we can do, plus weapons training, plus being aware of our surroundings. All these things just increase our chances of survival. No one's going to pick on you if they thought that they were going to lose. That's a fact. If someone's going to attack you on the street, they probably already think that they got you beat. They're probably already bigger, stronger, and better prepared. It's never going to be a fair fight. Do what you can to increase your chances.
That brings to another thing, like how one school talks about other styles.
Yeah,
can be a bad sign. Now,
it's a good point.
Obviously, everybody thinks what they're doing works.
Sure.
And they think that what they're doing is best.
Sure.
But like if you have a traditional martial arts school and they're telling you, we're going to teach you anti-grappling.
Yeah.
There's this. If they think that jiu-jitsu and wrestling just don't work and they can just shut it down, then they're not really dealing with reality.
No.
Because those things are real.
Yeah.
You can learn to try and defend them, but if you're learning to defend grappling, you have to learn grappling because that's what it is.
Yeah. Exactly right.
If you think boxing doesn't work and Muay Thai doesn't work, good luck. You're gonna find out very soon what it feels like, what someone's shin feels like across your face.
Right.
And you're not gonna like it.
And that's look, here at Eichmann, again, I'm hoping that other schools think the same way. Don't knock other people's styles. You can approach them with a grain of salt. Like, for example, I think I have many friends who are still doing BJJ, and I remember them from the early days doing that, and they'll say, I agree with if I'm in a chaotic street fight where there's like 4 guys jumping me, I'm not going to armbar just one guy because then his 3 buddies are going to stomp on my face. Maybe that's not the time for an armbar. And look, I train for jiu-jitsu tournaments. I don't know how to take a gun from someone. Maybe I should learn some of that. So, I think a wise person understands that all these systems have something to offer. The exceptions would be, again, I'm not saying you have to respect every style across the board. That's not true. If you come to me and tell me that when you channel your chi, you're able to cause internal bleeding in my body, I think that's ridiculous. I'm going to tell you to your face, with all due respect, that sounds absurd. That's just, there's no scientific basis for it, and you're wasting my time and your students' time.
I think even if it worked, you'd be better off just learning how to throw a liver punch.
Exactly.
You'd be more likely to cause internal bleeding if you can break someone's ribs.
Yeah.
Than studying magical powers.
Right. So a good instructor, that brings me to another point that's going to come up here, is an instructor is going to offer cross-training. If an instructor says you can't go anywhere, I don't even want you watching YouTube. I don't want you going to this guy's school, that guy's school. It's gonna tarnish our reputation. It's gonna taint my teaching methods. No, I think you should allow your students to. I have students now. We currently have people on our roster who go here for their Krav and then attend other schools for whatever thing that they're doing, and it works for them. I think it's great. It's phenomenal. We don't mind that, and I don't think a good instructor would mind that. Be very careful. And this person's the person you're paying to teach you something, right? They're not your jealous spouse, right? That's a bizarre thing to say to somebody, that they forbid you from going elsewhere. I can't imagine if my deli growing up told me I can't go to somebody else's deli.
You're cheating on them, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just so weird. Can't have that person's bagels. These are the only bagels you can have for the rest of your life. Their bagels are inferior. That's just a weird thing to say. Yeah, that's just a weird thing to say. So, and that's still how we approach self-defense here, is that if we're on the ground, we'll say, look, this technique comes to us from modern wrestling. This comes to us from BJJ. This comes to us from Muay Thai. This comes to us from boxing. And we have to understand these techniques and absorb them. And it's best practices, really. It's what works. If you're looking for classes for your kids, be very mindful of realism and what's being taught to your children. Many years ago, I walked by As I was getting some takeout at a strip mall, I saw a school. The lights were off, but there was some loud music coming from it. That maybe they're doing a kids party. You know, that's fine. Some martial arts schools do kids parties for the students. And I got there, and it's the Star Wars theme song. And all the kids are dressed up in robes, and they're in front of those wave masters, those water filled or sand filled bags, and they're with plastic lightsabers, you know, doing these. And the schedule on the door said little Jedi classes. I'm not kidding. This is little Jedi classes. Everybody who knows me knows I don't.
If
I'm
I
the
was a
biggest
kid,
Star
I
Wars
would
geek.
want to go to the
Sure,
Jedi.
I'm the biggest Star Wars geek in the universe. I like the stuff even other fans don't like. I love Star Wars. Live for Star Wars. In good conscience, I would have to tell people, why are you putting your child in that class? Because it's fun, or you want them to learn how to defend themselves from a bully or from a kidnapper. If what you want is just, he likes Jedis, okay, do that. But just be very mindful that that's what you're doing it for, okay? Don't think that he's going to walk out of there and be able to identify a stranger or how to identify inappropriate contact or how to run away or escape or fight back. Just be real with yourself what your goals are here, okay? We don't mean to fearmonger, but, you know, we live in the world. And I think an instructor for kids class has to temper reality and expectations and make the class still fun. You know, we can have a game at the end of class. The instructor has a good temperament to work with children, very animated, very entertaining, but still get the kids to get to where they need to be, and also be able to impart very valuable lessons about how to respect your own body, respect the body of others, what to look out for. These are things that you should be thinking of before you enroll your kids in Naruto class, you know?
I think the thing is, I think a lot of schools make a lot of promises about what their kids' class are going to do, what they're going to learn, how empowered they're going to be. They're going to be able to deal with bullies, going to do all these things. And when you look at their class, the kids are doing katas and the punch in the air. And this other stuff is just supposed to happen magically as a side effect.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
If those are the things you want, that school should have a curriculum for those things.
Oh, that's an excellent point. Sure.
Are they really teaching them lessons about dealing with bullying?
Yeah.
Are they really teaching them lessons about what they would do if they had to escape from an adult trying to abduct them?
Sure.
You know? And it's a different thing than teaching an adult karate class, right? Because an adult class, maybe if they learn to throw that rear punch hard enough, they're just going to clip someone and knock them out.
Sure.
A 7-year-old is not going to knock out an adult.
Nope.
No matter what technique they're throwing.
And you can't expect them to outslug an adult.
But a lot of kids' classes are taught as if, they're teaching a miniature adult class, basically.
Yeah, right. Or they just water something down expect. Well, that's the kids' version. No, and then you were making a point about the curriculum itself. If you go to a school and they say honor, integrity, outstanding citizen, and the way to do it is like 100 punches and horse stance, put it to the test. Have your kid go do a month of this and ki and then ask them, so tell me where you stand on integrity and honor and good citizenship. And I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Because those are intangibles. One of the things that we do here, and I would encourage other schools to do, is to have an actual curriculum to teach these things. If you're going to teach a kid about verbal conflict resolution, de-escalation of violence, we actually have a written curriculum and activities that go with that. There's a non-physical Krav Maga, it's verbal Krav Maga. You have to have stuff like this, and you have to actually have a curriculum that teaches kids what to do, how to talk about a situation, how to report different situations, how to assess if they're safe or not. These are things that have to be taught. It's not just that you sign your kid up and they just magically, get this information downloaded into their brains. Oh, here's a good one. If you walk into a school, Alan, and your teacher says that his hands are registered as lethal weapons.
It's just, he watches too many 80s action movies or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
He thinks he's the hero in his own action.
Yeah. I don't know if people do that? Was that a thing? I don't know where did people get that? I remember hearing that a lot in the 80s. Every You know, every guy who thought he was the Shogun of Harlem had, you know, my hands are registered. Count Dante, didn't Count Dante have? His whole body was registered as a lethal weapon.
His mustache was a lethal weapon.
Yeah, you know, you got to be careful with that. Just, you know what I mean? That's a bizarre claim to make. You know, and if they're registered as a lethal weapon, that would really mean that you know, it's why just your hands? Are you a bad kicker? Are you just do you not know how to choke people out? What is that? It's just bizarre. All right. Um, no cross training. Oh, something that's overly metaphysical or dogmatic. We talked about that. Just be careful. Don't sign up for things that require too much of a belief system, too much dogma. All right. If something sounds weird or fishy or far fetched, it probably is. I did ask someone during my travels when I was in South America. I did ask someone where he had learned his style. He says, well, he didn't learn it himself. His corporeal form didn't learn it. He's a reincarnation of a monk who had already known this stuff. So it's his previous incarnation who had learned it, and he's just manifesting this in this existence. This guy told me this with a straight face. Straight face, this guy told me this. Now, I know this is an extreme example, but just be mindful that when someone tries to sell you something like that and sell you something that's just way too out there, it's okay to be skeptical. You're not disrespecting someone's culture. You're not disrespecting someone. Even as a person, you say, you know what? That sounds like it's not for me. And you're okay to say that. All right? Because no other profession does that. You know, look, I'm not really a licensed proctologist, but in my previous incarnation, you know, I was actually the head of proctology for the Mayo Clinic. So in this form, I inherited that knowledge, you know? Now please undo your pants and bend over. That wouldn't fly with anyone. That doesn't make any sense. So don't do it. All right? Be very careful with being sold that type of thing. The teacher's always right. A teacher who's never wrong. Infallible. What do you make of that?
I don't know. It makes you wonder if they're really even thinking about things. You know, if they're saying that, it means they assume they've already seen everything and tried everything,
Sure.
and they have the answer to everything.
Yeah.
Which, unless they are a reincarnation, they've been through several lives
Right.
to experience
Right. We've
this,
established
then
that,
it's
yeah.
not really possible.
Right. We have our colleague here, Rick Side. I remember on one occasion a few years ago, someone who was there for their very first class asked, I forget what the technique was in particular, he said, well, can we do it this way? And we all looked at each other and Rick said, yeah, that's great. In fact, let's do it that way. You know? So some people say, well, your system's constantly changing. So you're changing your mind every other day. I said, no, we're evolving. You're allowed to evolve. You know, if your style of self-defense was developed in medieval Japan, you didn't have tactics for assault rifles or being stuffed into the back of a van. That's because that stuff didn't exist at the time. We have to evolve. And it's okay for someone to walk in off the street and say, you know, I was thinking, what if I put my hand this way rather than that way? If it works, then your instructor should have the humility and the common sense to go, you know what, that works great. Let's do that. Or let's add that to the list.
At least let's try it out.
Sure. Let's put it to the test. If
Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah. You know, that's not a bad idea. As long as it passes muster, as long as it's something that will work in the real world, as long as that doesn't seem too acrobatic or nonsensical, if it's something that's going to save lives, then absolutely, why not? And there are people who come here from other systems and they bring, you know, whatever they bring with them. And some people surprise us and go, you know, they show us some stuff. We go, that's phenomenal. Absolutely. So your instructor should never be infallible. And your instructor should never be the person who says, I have the answer to absolutely everything. It's okay to think things through and walk things through together, you know?
I think even if they've got a really good solution for something,
Yeah.
I think most people with practical experience know that not every answer works for everybody.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. Very good point.
You know, they may have their own style and this works really well for them, but, you know, most people realize it may not work, you know, what works so good for me might not work for you. You might have to change
exactly.
something a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not capable of putting my leg this high. I'm not gonna, or maybe this person has a bad back, or maybe this person's not as strong as this other person. There's that height difference.
Their bodies are different. Their strengths and weaknesses are different.
Sure, absolutely. You have to take all that into account. Absolutely. You know, and I was not. Now you were mentioning that. It also got me thinking that your instructor should also be the kind of person who says, "Okay, look, for those of you who are having trouble with this, try this. For those of you that are, you know, we can't assume that everyone's going to have the exact same result because we're all different. So it's what you said, but there's also, I think I think you covered it. I see it too often where you walk in and you haven't done. This is what people find intimidating about self-defense. There are probably people watching this going like, well, look, you know, I like what you guys are saying, but I'm out of shape. I haven't done any exercise since high school. I don't think I can do the things that you guys are doing. I mean, what's the point? I'm not that flexible. I'm not that strong. I'm out of shape. I get winded pretty quick.
Yeah.
So why am I going to show up if the instructor's going to yell at me because I can't do this, this, and that?
Well, you know, unless you want to be a fighter and you're going to an MMA gym or a boxing gym or something, you don't really want that kind of pressure put on you. Some people do. Some people want that because that's where they're going. But if you're going for self-defense, it should be something that everybody can do at some level, and you're not going in there thinking like, I'm going to go knock this guy out if he tries to touch me.
Right.
You know, the idea is I'm going to give myself the best chance I can to get away, to survive.
Right.
You know, that's practical. You know,
Yeah.
You don't have to be in great shape. You know,
Yeah.
And sometimes really simple things like we talked about dirty tricks before. Sometimes those little dirty tricks may give you just that chance, that opportunity to escape.
Right. And again, not beat the snot out of a much larger, more prepared aggressor, but a chance of surviving and escaping and live to fight another day. Because remember, you also have to think about the paradigm is here. If people are teaching, well, you learn this technique and you'll be like, you know, knock out 20 guys. I'm sorry, but that's just not a realistic expectation for anyone. Do you know what I mean? And not even for a professional fighter. There's a reason people walk into that octagon with just one other guy. It's a one-on-one thing. There's a reason for that. All right. Whatever you're being taught as a stand-up to scrutiny, we have our students, white belts, brown belts, anybody can walk up to say, well, wait a second, Steve. Why does this work more than this? Or what if somebody did that? We have people constantly ask us and put our technique under scrutiny, and we shouldn't be afraid of that. Real instructors who are teaching real stuff should not be afraid of some scrutiny. Something you might show them will go, well, I don't know if that's, how would that even work? How is this going to, you should be able to be okay with that scrutiny, and you should be able to have a logical answer for that, and you should be able to stand up to, you know, physics and anatomy and reality. You know?
Just be willing to explain it.
Right.
It might be that the answer the instructor was showing was right, but he should be willing to explain why.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
a quality coach is going to be able to say, yeah, we're doing it this way because of this reason and this reason and this reason.
Right.
You know, and then this is where it could go wrong.
Right.
This is, this is how someone might try to counter this.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Our final 2 points are step sparring. For those of you who don't know what that is when two people are facing each other. My partner does a ki, when I was a 30-minute ki, does a ki, and I step and I punch, and as I'm standing there like a statue, they're doing all sorts of horrible, vicious things to me. And my master Ken does some really great bits on that. He's phenomenal.
You feel like Constantine's dance of death.
Right. That's great.
26 moves that destroy you.
Exactly.
Immobilize you.
That guy's funny. He's great. And actually, he does a really good job of parodying this stuff that annoys the hell out of us. So, but yeah, those are things that you should look out for. If the point of that is, it's not just the step sparring. It's really, how are you drilling this? If in your class you have to learn how to save yourself from being choked, you better have somebody choking you in that class. That's the reality of it. And if you're learning how to catch a fist mid-flight, you might as well be learning how to catch arrows and bullets. You don't catch fists, all right? No one's grabbing your fist mid-flight unless you did something horribly wrong. So be careful. If their training methods seem, weird, impractical, all right, so that can't be applied.
If they're telling you they're going to teach you how to fight or protect yourself, and there's no contact,
right,
and they don't even do contact drills, much less any sparring, then you really don't know if any of that stuff's going to work.
Sure, absolutely. One of the things I enjoy is when we have people show up here and day one, they're seeing, they're getting grabbed or being grabbed by a ponytail or being grabbed by a shirt. Suddenly you do this, but then they do the technique like, oh, okay, so I see that you're grabbing me. You're being forceful, not viciously forceful, but there's contact because you want to shock me into understanding what it's like to be grabbed in real life. We particularly like when parents bring in their kids, and their kids are all gung ho about it. The parents are watching very anxiously. We have the kids, getting grabbed by the hands or grabbed by the hair or grabbed by being picked up, and they're doing their techniques and they're going at it, and the parents are like, wow, that's amazing. I thought little Timmy would be terrified, little Sally would be in shock, but they come through. You have to feel the contact so you know what real life is like. And the last point is acrobatics. If your style wants acrobatics, if backflipping and just very acrobatic kicks, tornado kicks, and back handsprings, if that's part of your system, and you do it for cultural reasons, okay, it's good exercise. What would be your one quibble with that? I don't knock it. I personally can still do a back. I can still do a back tuck. Can't think of a reason why I would. If I win the lottery, I'll do a back tuck. And I think the last time I did a back tuck, I think it was at somebody's birthday party. A bunch of people went to those trampoline places. And I was doing front tucks and back tucks. You do it when you're having fun. I can't imagine ever doing a back tuck in a fight. I've been in bar fights and I've been assaulted and someone tried to slice my throat open for my necklace. I don't remember doing a back tuck in any of those. There were no back tucks. My aggressor didn't do a back tuck, oddly enough. We didn't ki-eye. Neither one of us ki-eyed.
Didn't do a full turning lotus kick?
No, none of that.
Not even a tornado? Or
none of that. And I didn't remember it when this guy was trying to slice my throat open for was essentially $40 worth of silver. I don't remember him looking at me going, I recognize your style. There was no witty dialogue there. I see you're using an old style. There's none of that, So just again, I love the old-fashioned films. I like, I watch Kung Fu Panda and enjoy it. All that stuff is great, but if what you're going for is realism, just be very careful how you pick a school. All right.
It comes down to what's the best use of your time.
Yeah, exactly right.
And are you spending your training time doing things that are going to be the most practical and effective?
Sure.
Or are you doing something that maybe, 1 out of 1,000,000 times will come up? Or it's going to be so difficult to pull off and there's so many variables in it.
Yeah, or if it's too dependent on, if you spent your entire life working on how to use the broadsword, unless you're in the landscaping industry, there's a very slim chance you're ever going to have that with you. It's tough. It's a tough thing to carry around a broadsword. It's a tough thing to carry around a trisectional staff. And again, I want to make sure that we're clear. We're not knocking any particular system. I personally know people who do Wing Chun or people who do competitive Taekwondo in the Olympics. They'll knock your ass out. They're tough people. It's not a style thing. It's just know what your goals are, all right, and know what you're getting into and know what you want to achieve, and be careful with these red flags. There are some people who teach different styles who are very good, excellent teachers. They want you to learn how to protect yourself in the real world. And there are other people
there's a big difference in schools. There's kung fu schools and karate schools who spar, who do contact, who try and think about things and be practical. And then there's jiu-jitsu schools, which has a reputation for effectiveness, But there's jiu-jitsu schools run by fake black belts
Sure.
who never did anything and just sort of,
And but
they gave themselves a belt and pretend
that
they know
hasn't
what they're
ended,
doing.
by the way. I mean, I know that in the late 70s and early 80s, and since martial arts have been in America, there have always been people who do that. I mean, I have a book called Who's Who in Martial Arts in America. I think it's like the 1983 version, 1984 version. And if you look through that, there were people who would teach, who were supreme tiger master at the ninja karate dojo, and just some bizarre thing, just some really, in the age of the internet, obviously some of those people fade away and vanish because under the scrutiny of a million people watching them on YouTube, you can tell it's garbage. But that doesn't mean that they're not a bunch of frauds out there still today. There's still a lot of people out there who are doing the big dojo thing. So just be careful. We encourage all of you to stay in shape during this crisis. We encourage you to, if you're thinking about doing self-defense, do it. Stop thinking about it. Get it done. It's essential. Please don't do this thing where we bump into these people all the time. I say, well, I don't need self-defense because I have a very big burly boyfriend who sticks up for me, or I carry mace in my purse, or I put, exactly what I'm talking about when I say this. I put out positive energy into the universe, and since my aura irradiates nothing but positivity, that's all I get back.
Mm-hmm.
People just, I just don't get robbed. I won't get raped, robbed, assaulted, nothing.
Or as people say, I have a gun.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, where is it? Oh, it's in my car.
Yeah. It's in a safe in my basement.
That's great.
With an access key.
You don't have it.
Right, exactly.
It's not on you.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people shot their gun into a bucket full of sand once, and they got a permit. So,
there's
that's
a reason why people talk about the 20-foot rule.
Yeah.
Even if you're carrying, you need time to deploy.
Yeah.
And if someone's too close to you, you may not get the chance.
Yeah. And there are people who, they say it's just not me. It's not a me thing. I'm more of a this kind of person. Look, I don't care what you're into, man. You're aggressor. You're potential rapist, home invader, mugger. They don't care what you're into. They don't care what your hobbies are, what sign you are. If you're more of a chill kind of person, they don't care. And truthfully, if you're walking around looking like, you kick 20 badasses a day, then you're probably gonna be left alone anyway. People are gonna leave you alone anyway. But if you walk around like you look like a target, then you're probably a target. So what we're encouraging you to do is take a serious look at the statistics and go, look, it's not a guarantee I'm gonna die in a car crash, but I'm gonna put on a seatbelt. It's not a guarantee that I'm going to die of heart failure, but I should probably eat right. We take precautions anyway. I'm not asking you to, turn into Bruce Lee or even Bruce Leroy. Do what you do. You don't have to give up your other hobbies, but it pays to know a little self-defense. All right? You know how to swim. You're not a professional lifeguard, so you fall in a lake, you don't drown. There it is. You can cross the street, look both ways, one more time. You're not a crossing guard, you're not a traffic cop, but you know how to do that as well. It's good to know a little bit of self-defense, at least just a little, all right? Just in case, heaven forbid, it should ever happen, know something, all right? And if you have family, teach your family what to do. Nobody counts on dying in a fire, but you have, a fire extinguisher, you have smoke detectors. We take precautions in life. Self-defense can be a nice thing you take with your family or for yourself, and just make it so that it's a precaution in life. Even if you don't find a full-time thing or something you do for the rest of your life, it pays to know something, all right? Find a good school, train hard, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you here. And if you're seeing us in another city, another country, and you want to send us a picture or a video of where you would decide to go train, we'd love to see that, We'd love to see people get on the mat, get into the local quood or dojo or dojang or gym or whatever they're going to do, and enjoy themselves, okay? Thank you so much. We had a great time talking to you.